There's really when people think about product development, there's a short-term situation and a long-term situation. One is a realistic assessment of how good is our company at managing their surfaces. So if an organization has a strong control over surface quality, then it really opens up the opportunity to use new materials in new ways, push the envelope when it comes to treatment methods, drive more sustainable methods, and it allows you to work closer to the margin of performance on a product. And so it's very important to begin with understanding the surface energy involved in the material. And of course, water contact angle is a great approximation of surface energy. It helps you understand both what materials you want to use and also what method to prepare it. The opportunity with surface intelligence, with being able to take that water contact angle technology out into the production environment, is that it can replace what has been kind of an unsatisfactory method that's been used in production in the past. So in the past, things like dyne testing and dyne pens, is that it does leave a lot to interpretation. The chemicals that are involved are, they're not without risk. And by doing a quick fix, that feedback doesn't get back up the food chain to say, how could we get better? How do we learn as a company? As we say here often, solving those problems early by defining the materials that you're looking for really helps you understand the risks involved. It helps you understand what could be some of the ways that it fails. If a bond failed, what could be some of the implications of that? And then what's the cost of that? And then what is the remediation? So if we just go through our FMEA checklist, you can now define, through using concepts like water contact angle, you can now define what those risks are. You can be able to set standards for what you want to attain. And then you can hold people accountable, frankly, to make sure that those are achieved. But without that, the measures of readiness are really subjective, and they're really subject to a lot of finger pointing between departments. It was a bad design, or it was bad material, or it was a bad batch from the vendor. At that point, the risk is already created, and the damage to the brand is already out there. So to the extent the company's putting its name on the product, it has to take into account, everywhere a surface is going to come together, whether it's painting or coating or adhesives or welding. Any of those materials involve the condition of the surface. So it is a ubiquitous challenge, and with water contact angle, it is an untapped opportunity to improve productivity, improve quality, and to get benefit for brand.